Hi, folks. I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Calvert, alongside Father Joe Grimaldi, and we would like to welcome you to the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. Well, this one is just for the friends of the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. Going on right now at Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, you can enjoy the opportunity to build your Lincoln. That's right. Visit our showroom in Southfield, Michigan, or simply log on to starlincoln.com. You can build your Lincoln Corsair. How about a Nautilus, the Aviator, or the beautiful Navigator? Experience the power of Sanctuary in your custom-ordered Lincoln vehicle. You pick the color, the interior, the wheels, and you can choose between gas or your plug-in hybrid. The benefits that come from owning a Lincoln-certified pre-owned vehicle will exceed your expectations. Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, located on 12 Mile Road, just east of Telegraph, in beautiful Southfield. Or you can always visit us at starlincoln.com. Star Lincoln, home of the Father Joe Star Treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to a couple of professional podcasters approaching 350 episodes of the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. We love our tech toys, don't we? You know, people are doing podcasts everywhere. There are gazillions and billions and trillions of podcasts.
Lots and lots.
Everybody has a podcast. You can do a podcast with your phones. You can get a little alligator clip like they do on TV and have a lavalier microphone. I have one friend who has a podcast. It's called Taking a Walk, and they have two lavaliers on an iPad, and they just sort of go for a wildlife walk, you know, like you and I would be.
It's kind of funny you're saying that. I have a friend who started a podcast that's called Jaywalking.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a friend named Nate who does a podcast called Saturday Nate Live. And so
that's clever.
And he's very funny. And so it's interesting how many people find podcasts. And the key, of course, is the number of people that listen.
Right.
And other people can do other things to boost their listenership, to get it pushed up on the big screen. I will tell you this, in terms of algorithms, if you have a top 50 podcast, it will automatically be seen if you dig just a little bit into the home pages of Apple's podcasting page. So it's interesting. And I bring that up for a reason. You know why? Where did I put my phone? Hold on. It's on the automatic charger. I don't even have to plug it in to charge anymore. Okay, so I'm just simply going to turn around here and grab my phone. Here it is. Let me see any push notifications. You know what a push notification is?
No, tell me.
That is when somebody says, do you mind if I leave you alerts as they come in? And you always click no.
Yeah.
Or else you could just get overwhelmed with, hey, looky here, hey, looky here. You know, hey, there's a fire in Taylor. There's a robbery in Westland. That's not really happening, but the local TV station may want to push notify me.
Sure, I like that.
Okay, all right. Well, guess what else I can get push notifications from? A Catholic website called, and I hope I'm saying this right because we've done this before, Laudate?
Laudate, yeah.
What does that stand for? What does that mean?
Praise.
Can you see that corner little app there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's a Catholic app. As I open the app, daily readings, liturgy of hours, orders of the Mass, calendar, daily prayer, daily Bible verse, rosary, and chaplet, Stations of the Cross, prayers, Latin prayers, my prayers, search prayers, confession, catechism, Catholic media, Heart of St. Mary, Bible studies. It's very content loaded.
Okay.
It's really well done. I bring this up because of the fact that I was thinking this morning it would be great to have an iPhone act as, to me, an old-fashioned missal so that I could follow along with the Mass. Well, I believe after doing some deep digging and with this, I could take this into your Mass and be able to easier follow along with you. In favor or not, Father Joe Grimaldi, of Tech 2022 coming into my life and into our church?
I don't think it matters if I'm in favor or not, because it's happening. And people use it all the time. If it helps them, it's a good thing. So to say I'm in favor, it doesn't. I haven't thought about it that way at all. A few years ago, when the internet was just beginning to build up, I had a wedding rehearsal, and so we always have people practicing the first reading and second reading and so on. Well, this one person went up and used the cell phone, and she read from the cell phone. And some people took offense.
That's the rub. That's what I'm looking for.
But I don't think that's going to be today. It was, a few years ago, it was so new that people took offense. Now it's not. Okay, people do it. Actually, as far as liturgical use of books and whatever else, today there is a standard, okay? In other words, there are certain books that have to be used, even though they're just books, to do the readings. Now, it's not a mortal sin. That's not what we're talking. We're not talking about sin here, okay? We're talking about
high-tech
protocol and not even the high-tech.
Well, no, high-tech versus protocol.
Yeah, well, but people use high-tech behind the scenes.
Right.
That's never a problem. But to use it in a liturgical ceremony, for example, if you were to see a beautiful liturgical ceremony going on where the Archbishop or the Pope or whatever, with his beautiful robes and all the altar servers, and then instead of holding up the book, they hold up a cell phone, there's something that's gross.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's a matter of taste. It's not a matter of right or wrong. There's no sin involved or anything of this sort. But you just don't do that. Same thing for Mass. There's a certain book that you use to do the readings from. You don't just take out your little cell phone and you're speaking to the congregation and you use that. Could you use it in an informal setting? Yeah, but I think if it's a formal setting, even if it's not church, I think somebody who's giving a lecture in a hall and has, on whatever it is, history, science, when they hold up their phone to do that, there's doubts in the people's minds on whether or not this guy has really credentialed to do this kind of thing, since he has to hold up his cell phone. So I agree with you, because right now the cell phone is inevitable. You need it. You need it. You can't do without it.
Yep.
And also it's very useful to look up scripture when you're at home, or look up anything for that matter, but even when you do religious things, but even when you want religious things, I think it's important to have a cell phone to use it. But for formal ceremonies, it leaves a lot to be desired. Take, for example, a formal wedding. You have this, everything is perfect. The bride has the $4,000 dress on and, all this other stuff, and then somebody goes up to read and he has a cell phone. Is there anything wrong with that? No, nothing. But it takes away from the solemnity of the area, of the ceremony, of the event. And there's certain things that go along with nice events.
I get that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. And I think I'm going to say right now, in a small majority.
Yeah.
I would say in 10 years, you and I will definitely be in the minority. No, I would say 5 years from now. I'm amazed at the iPhone or the cell phone or the smartphone, whatever you want to call it, what it gets and how it's solved so many of our problems, including crime.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
That part of it is not.
No.
I'm talking about ceremonials.
I know, and that's why I'm getting back to it. Some people just won't know life without it. I mean, that's how they know life. That's how they do things. In other words, if I had a reading and for the sake of whatever, it's easier for me to do that reading by writing it out or typing it out and putting it out on font that's a 36 font, huge,
huge,
so that I can read it, so that I can see it and be comfortable reading it. instead of relying on the book. Now, listen, I would open up the book to that page and then maybe have my paper in there, and I would read it. And I think people would understand what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything on a whim, just like whipping out my cell phone. Look at me, everybody, and now I'm going to do the reading. No. But I think there'll be a point where we're going to see more of that. I don't think we'll see it from the pulpit as a priest. There may be something in the way you direct the parishioners to say...
They're not allowed to do that, so...
What's that?
To use anything but the proper book.
The priest?
Oh, anybody.
Okay.
Anyone who's doing the readings.
All right. I'm a little confused, so I'm going to go backwards. I thought you said that at one point you had a woman come up and do that. And
this was during rehearsal.
And you told... so you told her, no, you can't do that.
She can't. I mean, you can't... For any ceremonial purpose, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a ceremony where there's a lot of formality in it, the book still has some pull, okay?
Yeah.
The cell phone is extremely important. We're not talking about oranges and oranges. We're talking about oranges and apples. Okay?
I know. Okay, then let me stick with this. You're okay with the app.
Of course.
And you're okay with people taking lunch, maybe, having a sandwich, and maybe reading a few passages from the Bible.
Of course.
Okay. You're actually maybe even kind of...
I'm talking about formal ceremonies.
All right, but you're talking... No. But I'm going back and forth with you, so I'm doing this on purpose. But you're comfortable with somebody sitting outside, finally a nice day in Michigan, finally get to go sit outside. I can take my phone, and while I'm out there, you go, oh, I'm going to explore this app a little more. Oh, I didn't know this. Stations of the Cross. That just happened. How did they, do it? Or daily prayers. Oh, here's the daily prayers. Here's a prayer about peace. Oh, nice. That's okay. You have no problems with that.
Of course not.
All right. Now, what about Easter? Did you have people taking pictures during the Mass?
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Afterwards, yeah, but not.
Okay. All right. But if somebody were to take their iPad or their iPhone and be able to follow the Mass with the iPhone, would you
no problem.
You would not have a problem with that?
No, I guess what I'm not making myself clear at, a bride will not wear dungarees or jeans coming down the aisle.
Correct.
Okay?
I know where you're going.
Is that sinful? No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
However, the thing is this, a bride, because it is a formal event, is going to have a formal dress on, whether it's $1,000, $500, whatever. Now, the people that are involved in the ceremony itself, religious ceremony, are not going to use a cell phone to read from the pulpit because it just doesn't fit. When you're speaking about the private individual who wants to develop his prayer life, who wants to continue his devotions, of course he can use the cell phone. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using the cell phone. What I'm talking about is events, okay? For example, I don't know, maybe with time we're going to do away with men wearing jackets at formal events. But right now, for a very formal event, people are going to wear suit and tie, this type of thing. Is it sinful not to it? No. I've seen people come in with a sports shirt instead of there's nothing intrinsically wrong with it. It's just that there's a certain time when you are formal, other times when you're not.
Right. And I don't mean to pinball all over the place or confuse you, but I just find it fascinating that everywhere in life today, the iPhone, 3 doctor's appointments over the past couple of months. My doctor immediately one helped me with a prescription with GoodRx. Just saying, well, let's see what we can do here. We can find it. I'll find it the cheapest for you. He flew through that thing.
And I love it. And I'm glad we could do that.
iPhone session number 2. Text my doctor, ask him a question. 15, 30 minutes later, bing, answer to my question. I almost feel like I went to the doctor, had an appointment, because I explained it to him and did a screenshot of what I was talking about. And everybody's communicating in that way. I found it interesting, that's all. I go back to the very beginning, that the Catholic Church, I have to believe that if you Google Catholic Church apps, there are 2 or 3 that are really very, very strong, very good. And I just thought it was interesting as a topic to talk to you about it. and that's what I'm doing. But at the same time, I'm glad you clarified what you can and
But
can't.
we're on the same page, okay? For example, I don't know if there's any organization that uses the cell phone more than the Catholic Church. So they're using Google, they're using everything from the Vatican down to the simple priest in the country.
Right.
That wasn't what I was speaking about, but there's certain occasions when, well, at a protocol, we wear a coat and tie.
Yes.
At a protocol, the bride wears a special dress for that. And at a protocol, we don't go up there and use a cell phone to read from if you're one of the readers at the church ceremony.
The reason why I brought it up is because I hadn't even thought about looking for an app on my iPhone until today. I don't know why. I just didn't come to me. I'm used to Googling like a madman on my iPhone, but not just saying, oh, wait a minute, if I would have had this app, it may have settled it. So that just led me to start thinking about how far can this whole thing be taken in the Catholic Church, localized to Sacred Heart, the home of Father Joe Grimaldi. Is there a time when Sacred Heart will have its own app just for Sacred Heart? Fish fries coming up, Father Joe, Easter week continues, those sorts of things that will be specific to you and your church and your flock, if you will. That's kind of where
we have a homepage.
Yes, but that's the internet. I'm talking about an actual app, an app for your phone, which is different, by the way.
Well, that doesn't bother me at all. I think if we had the money, we would certainly do it. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about at all.
All right, no, we're not arguing here.
But I think we're on the same page. I think.
Yeah, we are on the same page. Here's what I think.
Yeah.
I think you knew more about this than I did. I think that I got up today, thought about this, thought, I've never thought about going on to my app store on my phone and looking for a Catholic app. And sure enough, I Googled that on my iPhone. They recommended a couple of apps. I went to the app store, got it, looked at it, and said, this is great. Why didn't I think of this before? And then I thought, this would be a great topic for Father Joe. I wonder if he knows you can get a couple of apps that possibly even he could use when he's walking around his quarters at home.
There are priests that say their office. We say the office every day.
Yeah.
They use the cell phone.
Okay, so you're way. You know what the conclusion to this podcast is? This: you're way ahead of me.
No,
and I thought
I learned my stuff from you.
I thought I was gonna bust through that paper banner and.
When it comes to things like technology, I bow to you. Okay, I don't. But as far as the cell phone, as far as the apps, as far as the internet, the church has been using it for a long time.
Right.
And a lot of it depends on money. So some churches are much more advanced with it than others. But all churches today do not operate without Wi-Fi throughout. Right? Internet throughout, and all of this other stuff. So we're part of the world.
And if you notice, you probably will pick up just a little bloom, or just a little chime or a bell or that on occasion on the podcast. You know what it is? It's our iPhones, and we've got a text message or a message, or we have a push notification. So, hey, I know what you want to do. You want to push me over right now and go, get a clue, will you? Next time, ask me some good questions.
No, I thought that was a good question. I bet you a lot of people that are listening do not realize that the church is involved with all of these other things.
A lot of high-tech stuff.
Yeah. And not me, but there's people that are.
Well, and by the way, if you're looking for a Father Joe app for your phone, we haven't got it yet.
No, we don't.
So if you want to send us make a donation to the podcast. Here's Father Joe with today's prayer.
Again, we'll continue with worry, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to bow to Father Casey. Worry is a weakness from which very few of us are entirely free. We must be on guard against this most insidious enemy of our peace of soul. Instead, let us foster confidence in God and thank Him ahead of time for whatever he chooses to send us. Blessed Solanus KC, and God bless you all. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe Podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.